Bitcoin has definitely been pulling our legs for quite some time. We pumped all the way up to 95. Then this morning we were down to 87K. We did just get some resolution on the tariff situation, which we'll talk about in this video. Right before I started recording, actually, this news came across, and we're seeing a little bit of reversal in the Bitcoin price action. And we're going to go over what's going on with the crypto market. Why are people so spooked? When should we expect a turnaround? And on top of that, the very few altcoins that I would be looking at in the market for potential accumulations, and especially if Bitcoin and crypto continues to bleed. Let's jump into it, guys. If you're new to the channel here, I am live and I just post pre-recorded videos just like this one 3, 4, 5 times a week right here on this channel, going over crypto, prediction markets, and more. So like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more every single week here on In the Game. And on top of that, guys, check out all of our sponsors down below. If you need a place to trade, you can trade on Blowfin, you can trade on Gravity, two of our best partners as far as trading perps in crypto. And I just want to give a shout out quickly to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the #1 AI generation project on the Binance Smart Chain, which has been endorsed by 𝗧𝗍 himself. I would absolutely advise you guys to check out this if you are, bullish on gaming, AI, or just what we're seeing with Claude out there. This has capabilities to bring these things on chain. So check out 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 in the link down below in the description. Let's just jump into it, guys. As I mentioned, crypto is the price action is interesting right now. Some altcoins like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, Gunzilla, which we'll talk about here in a bit as far as the gaming niche, showing a little bit of strength in the market. But, altcoins really are definitely suppressed at the moment in time with an uneasy Bitcoin price. We can see on the right side here, the 7-day price action on basically everything is not pretty. So this is the type of market we've been treading since August, ever since all-time highs at 126K. I remember, opening up my phone like, wow, it really does feel like Q4 was about to become this absolutely euphoric time period that we hadn't felt since March of 2024 or winter of 2023, whatever the case was. But we just did not get that materialize. Government shutdown, the small rate cuts were helping, but there wasn't any crypto legislation being passed because of the shutdown. So a lot of stuff happening in Q4. Metals still continuing to run. Obviously right now the stock market, as we see here, and what I was talking about with the tariffs is Trump actually just set a framework and with respect to NATO countries regarding the tariffs. So as we can see here, stocks sharply extend their gains, and the S&P 500 just jumped up 1.2%, which for the S&P 500, for crypto 1%, you're like, oh, that's nothing. But for the stock market, that is actually like a massive short-term move for the S&P 500. But going back to just crypto itself, we see Trump, this was this morning at the World Economic Forum. Our stock market dip is peanuts. That stock market is going to be doubled. And he was talking also at the Economic Forum about how 5% is good, but he sees no reason why people should be expecting 20, 25% on their stock portfolios, which if that was to happen, like, the wealth generation that would happen in America would be insane. Now, am I going to believe that we should be expecting 25% a year on your stock portfolio, given the fact that history tells us it's going to be more like 5? Probably not, right? So take that with a grain of salt. But he says that the Dow is going to hit 50,000 and double to 100,000 in a relatively short period of time. Now, this is also something when the stock market shows all this momentum, crypto is going to be slowed down because more people trade the stock market. More people are prone to say, hey, I'll buy NVIDIA, Tesla, Robinhood stock before, diving into altcoins or Bitcoin. And whenever this market's going to be pumping, more risk on assets like crypto are definitely going to be suppressed. However, at the World Economic Forum as well, Trump says that he's working to ensure that America remains the crypto capital of the world, which brings us towards my thesis heading into the middle part of 2026. Obviously, we're still in January. We have a long ways out. Heading into midterms, I feel like his rhetoric, he wants to pump the markets, okay? He's going to want to pump stocks. He's going to want to pump Bitcoin. Why is that? Because Bitcoin was part of the reason he absolutely smashed the popular vote, because everyone in crypto that went to the polls were listening to what he was saying, And the last administration was very anti-crypto. They had a lot of legislation that was not very crypto-friendly, especially if you lived in the United States. But Trump is actively still a crypto bull. I do feel like he had to kind of quiet the noise because his family did so much stuff in crypto during the beginning of his term. However, I still think that he does have his eyes set on clear crypto regulations, maybe even lowering the capital gains tax. He's talking about lowering income tax, whatever the case is. I feel like a lot of this stuff could be really good for risk on assets like crypto. And the Clarity Act, although paused currently, I think should be approved soon. And look, this is something Bitcoin continues to make waves in a way that you would never even have thought. Like, yesterday, Steak and Shake says that starting on March 1st, they're giving all hourly employees a Bitcoin bonus, and it sounds small, and the comments are such like short-term mindset. A Bitcoin bonus of 21 cents every hour. So they're giving every Steak and Shake employee 20 cents of Bitcoin every single hour they worked. Over the current price, they were talking about how that's going to be like $800 every 2 years or something like that. But getting $400 in free Bitcoin every year, you hold that for long-term periods of time. That's the mindset, right? So we're seeing companies fully add in a Bitcoin bonus to their hourly salaried employees. And on the other side too, we're seeing more institutional adoption. We're seeing Jamie Dimon change his stance, Citibank, Chase Bank, etc. So lots of good stuff happening in crypto. And I feel like around midterms, in order to get good approval ratings for the next Republican candidate, this is for Trump, okay, not to talk too politically, but I do think that Bitcoin and the stock market should be performing pretty well around that middle of the year period. Now, what is the message for today? And I tweeted this yesterday, and this just holds true for sure. And Cooker tweeted, markets stay irrational longer than you can be solvent. And that is the truest statement about crypto especially, okay? This market will test every bit of patience that you have. That pumped to 95. Altcoins kind of started springboarding up. People got a little bit bullish. I was getting a little bit bullish, right? And then we're just seeing this terrible price action over the last few days due to tariff scares, etc. Hopefully this clarity today on the tariffs will clear up the market a little bit. But in times like this, people are going to burn their portfolio. Revenge trading, trying to catch a big runner, feeling like I can make up all my portfolio losses in one trade. And that's not what's going to happen, okay? In times like this, you have to prioritize survival, which survival right now is solvency. And they say time in the market beats timing the market. I do feel like right now de-risking a little bit is going to beat time in the market. Time in the market, as in holding altcoins long term, has just been punishing for anyone spending time holding altcoins. And I like Elio's tweet here too, where he said, you know, the meme coin pivot was horrible for the industry because it killed the credibility, and more people see that it's a scam. They think it's a scam, that their visual of the crypto industry from last year with all the crazy meme coins that went up and then straight down. It led to the general public seeing the whole industry as a scam, but there are quality protocols out there with good builders and quality teams. It's upsetting, but the good stuff will survive and thrive in time, thereby rebuilding trust in tokens, which comes down to you need to figure out which altcoins you most align with. Make sure that they are literally top tier. I don't think it's the time period to be dwindling on mid-cap tokens, except right now in one sector, which we'll talk about in just a second. But for me, that conviction remains in a few tokens. I think that Bittensor 𝗨 probably, I think this can be a top 15, top 20 token easily. Top 15 would be, I think, my real bull case. I mean, flipping like stuff like TON, Shiba Inu, probably ends up flipping Avalanche at some point in time. I could totally see that as far as 𝗨, because it's the top AI coin in the market. All the AI projects are trying to flock to their network to build subnets. And on top of that, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, they have the Bitcoin Trust, but they also have a 𝗨 Trust. And in their overall AI Grayscale Trust, they have 𝗨 as a big piece of that. So I just think that 𝗨 is showing so much strength, even in this market. We dipped down to 87 this morning. This dip right here got eaten up immediately, and especially showing strength right off that tariff news. So for me, 𝗨 just remains a no-brainer at these levels. And also, Keeta, if there was one that I would speculate on in that, you could call it a mid-cap, I guess, If we were to speculate on something at a $100 million market cap, I think Keeta is absolutely the move, which over the last month, by the way, has done a nice recovery over the course of this time period. But yesterday, they acquired a bank. They approved the allocation of 35 million KTA to support acquiring a bank, making a strategic step towards expanding Keeta's regulated capabilities and enabling deeper participation within the global financial system. So I think this is the one mid cap to me right now that feels like it could take that leap into one of the, I would say from the newer school tokens, like one of the elite altcoins from this cycle. And as I tweeted, Keeta must be the most undervalued altcoin based on market cap versus project quality. It's one of the very few altcoins I'd be adding at this time. And I do remain on that. Even with today's little bounce, I don't know that I'd be going out and just aping into everything left and right. I do think that I'm going to keep my conviction very thin, but make sure I stack those projects where I want them to. So where even if they do 2, 3, 5Xs whenever the alt season or the bull run does turn around, you're going to get your money's worth out of it. And you're not desperate for $1 million token to hopefully come back from the dead, as most altcoins have died over the course of the last years. And then last but not least, gaming coins right now are, it's crazy to me. When the market dies, gaming has these scam pumps. Like I wouldn't really rely on it long term for sure, but gaming is starting to heat up. The sector as a whole is up 89% this week, while everything else is down. So, if you're holding anything in the gaming sector still, that is a good thing. For me, I have pre-investments still vesting from a lot of projects like 𝗪𝗔𝗄, for example, and it's done crazy numbers the last few weeks. Let's just go look at the guns price here over the course of, and look here, we have 𝗥cĩ Infinity up 94%, even Sandbox up 15%. We have Power Protocol up 20%. Let's find 𝗪𝗪𝗀. It was on the daily chart for sure. Yeah, over 30 days, Guns is up 175%. So anyone who is buying the bare bones bottoms of these tokens, even though, like what Thread Guy said, gaming really hasn't, no one's trying right now. With all these AI developments with Claude and all these coding apps, you would think that someone would come in and at least try an innovation in GameFi or Metaverse, whatever the case is. Because between 2021, and I replied to this tweet here actually, I said, I agree with what he's saying. Like, people should try to innovate in that space because we're desperate for a big win in that side, but also agreed tenfold with it because AI could potentially do things we dreamed of seeing. Like in 2021, 2022, there were things like for world building and stuff like that. People weren't able to even utilize AI yet. So it's sad that we're at a place where even where gaming coins are pumping, that doesn't necessarily result in gaming being back, because there's probably still less than like 5 to 10 quality projects in the gaming sector in total. But it's sad where we are, where, a couple years ago, we would see new ideas and new products being thrown around on the timeline all the time. Now we're at a place where there's no new innovations and nobody's even willing to try because of the success rate, or should I say the failure rate of like 99.9% of crypto gaming projects have basically pulled the plug. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. If we actually start to see a little bit of innovation off the back of these gaming coins pumping, there could be some upside there. But if I was just going to be looking at gaming coins right now, I definitely wouldn't be chasing stuff like Sandbox, 𝗥cĩ Infinity, 𝗪𝗪𝗀. I think that if you've missed those pumps, you just have to let them go, because that's nothing worth your money. And especially, do not get burned. Like, 𝗥cĩ's up 95% this week. Nothing like that should you be buying over the weekly time period. And regardless, I mean, I haven't held 𝗥cĩ since 2021, so it's nothing that I would be touching with a 10-foot pole, especially after doing these types of pumps. But maybe, just maybe, this could bring some development interest back into the gaming space, which would be great for us. We can jump into more products, make more money inside these game economies, be able to ride up tokens, because gaming tokens used to be one of the most high activity, high volume products and high speculation. More speculation means better price action, okay? And that's what we've missed in gaming, like what Thread Guy said and like what I replied. No one's even trying. So if we start to get a little bit of innovation or people at least experimenting again with the gaming or metaverse sector, those coins are going to absolutely skyrocket because that's what's going to lead to the speculation that tokens feed off. So more of a little rant there at the end about gaming. But for now, I would absolutely be cautious. Even this little trade deal that we just struck today, I don't necessarily think that this is going to be something that, okay, you know, now you can auto long everything, market's going up from here. I think you still should tread with a little bit of caution, but overall bullish news on the tariff deal and looking across the market, I think you can still take stabs at some of the quality altcoins out there, like a 𝗬𝗨, like a Keeta, etc., because they're showing tons of momentum when the market does swing upwards. And I do feel like the downside risk of holding those, even if Bitcoin goes down, is much smaller than a lot of altcoins, which would probably tank much harder if the market does take a big dip. So guys, that's my thoughts on the market. Like I said, this video is more of a theoretical rant as to what's going on with the market. When could we possibly see better price action? And to me, the best price action we're going to see this year, I think, is going to be late Q1 into Q2 during the midterm time period. If you enjoy the content, guys, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, play well, my friends, trade responsibly, and overall, most importantly, stay bullish, my friends.